Hey everybody, Alex here. Welcome to Momentum Charting. I hope that everybody is having a great day. I know that I've been a little bit behind here on my individual stock videos over the last couple of days. So what I'm going to be doing today in order to make that up to everybody, I'm going to be doing kind of a broad look video on every single stock in my watch list. But before we do that, guys, jump down below, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because I'm going to break this particular series into multiple parts. I have a lot of different stocks on my watch list. I'm going to be going through each and every one on a broad picture. So in order to make sure you do not miss a single part of this series, maybe 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts, I'm not sure yet. I don't want to make the videos too long, too bloated. But it's going to be multiple parts. But in order to make sure you don't miss any of the parts of this series, jump down below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification. Thank you guys so much for being a subscriber to the Momentum Charting channel. And so basically, guys, what I'm going to do is kind of a broad picture, look at each and every stock on my watch list. And again, I have a lot of them here. And I'm going to try to keep the analysis kind of as broad and big picture as we can, and sometimes that's the best way to do things anyway, right? When you're looking at a chart, sometimes when you focused in on too short of time frames, you can get lost in the details, lost in the minutia, on the little swings here and there on charts. Sometimes it's a good idea to step back and take a broad look. So I'm going to be using basically 2 of my favorite charts. I'm going to be using the momentum chart, and I'm going to be looking at the DRSI chart. And just going to be nothing here planned in advance. I'm just going to be going through my watch list, right? And again, I got a lot of stocks here. I'm going to break this up definitely into different parts. Some stocks I'm going to just say right away, I don't like the look of this chart, and you're going to see right away why I don't. And then I'm going to move on to the next chart. But some of the ones that I like a little bit more, maybe going to analyze just a little bit deeper, kind of broad picture, and look at that. So without any further hesitation, you guys will kind of get the idea of how this is going to go when I get into it. So let's go ahead and get started. The first chart on my list here is going to be Alcoa Corporation. You guys may have seen the last video I did on Alcoa, maybe a couple weeks ago, but at the time I was pretty clear on what I thought was happening, and it is basically progressing fairly nicely, although there was a period of some pretty violent volatility and shifts of price in here. For instance, we dropped here from 45. I think I did the video even somewhere in here. I don't remember exactly the date. I'd have to go back and check, but it was definitely at least a couple weeks ago. But we had this big drop, and then we've just taken up back up nicely to the upside since then. So basically, right on target with Alcoa. So looking at this chart on Alcoa, I'm on a weekly time frame, and that's going to be where I start all my analysis, guys, on a weekly time frame. And if there isn't enough historical data on the weekly, we'll start on the daily instead. So here on Alcoa, I do like the look of this momentum. And as I stated in the last video, I thought we were on track to repeat a period very similar to this period we had here between February of this year and June of this year. And what I believed was going to happen, and what it still looks to me like we are on track to do, is repeat a time frame similar in nature. Let's dive in here and see exactly what that was. So over the course of approximately, let's see, about 105 days, we went up in price about 143%, and everything here kind of looked good to me for us to repeat that, especially getting that beautiful bounce off this trend line here on 20th of August. A lot of times, guys, this is just the kind of stuff you have to expect from this stock market, right? Highly volatile. These stocks like to go up and then come back and then shake people out. That's just the nature of the stock market. But I love that bounce off this line of support here. And let me just put this in here and see what we're talking about here. So approximately 140%, maybe in around 105 days. This is just obviously a very, very rough estimate. But to me, this looked to be one of the more exciting stocks I was looking at, and I really kind of like the look of this on the momentum on a weekly time frame. So 148%, right around here at about 130 or 100 days approximately, right? So maybe right around here. This is kind of somewhere maybe at the beginning of November, early November, and targeting a price of $75. Guys, I still think we're on track for that. That's what it's looking to me like on this chart of Alcoa. Still love the look of this setup on the momentum. We're getting this nice series of higher lows and higher highs since June 2020. Look at all these. Look at all these, just looking really, really nice in here, right? Still pushing up to the upside, and we've also got this really, really nice alignment here of the 50 moving average and 200. The 50 starting to push up to the upside over a 200 EMA, which is also pushing up to the upside. So guys, everything looking really strong here to me on Alcoa. My shorter term time frame uptrend I have set here, touch points here on August 20th and then September 1st, and just drawn this trend line on a 1 hour time frame to the upside. It looks to me like we are in a particularly strong time for Alcoa. I'm a buyer right now. I'm adding to my position in Alcoa until I see a break to the downside of this trend line. But guys, even when that happens, which I believe it will at some point, I believe that's going to set us up for a return to this kind of midterm trend line right here. We're not going to go through that. I think that's going to set us up, and that's going to bring us up maybe 1 or 2 gyrations in here over the next couple of months until that price target potentially in the mid-70s over the next couple months. And who knows, right? I mean, November is not too far away. This thing could potentially, I'm not saying for sure this is going to happen, who knows, but kind of the shape and everything and structure of this 1 hour time frame, I kind of like the look of this right now, and it's potentially taking us right out into November. So this could be a straight shot up over the next couple of months. We'll just have to wait and see, but definitely upon a breach of this trend line here to the outside, I'm going to be waiting for a return kind of to this midterm trend line, and then a push back to the upside. So everything on Alcoa to me looking very, very strong, guys. And yeah, one of the better looking charts that I'm seeing right now. Very, very nice looking weekly time frame on the momentum. Okay, so let's move on to our next stock, AAL, American Airlines. Guys, I do not like the look of this chart at all. You can see the configuration of the 200 EMA pushing down, acting as overhead resistance on this chart. The weekly, there's been no buy signal in place here on a weekly time frame. This momentum still pushing down to the downside. Let's go to the daily time frame here on this chart of American Airlines. And you guys can see here, yeah, the configuration on a daily time frame also of this 50 moving average and 200 moving average, not looking very healthy, and we're on a momentum. We're getting this series of lower highs and lower lows in place. I do not like the look of the chart of American Airlines right now, guys. So with that out of the way, let's go on to our next chart. Go back to a weekly time frame and go to the chart of Apple. Yeah, this chart to me still looks very healthy, guys. Looks to me on a weekly time frame, we have still this channel in place, which I've shown many times now. We're kind of operating, just pushing up nicely within the bounds of this channel here on a weekly, and it looks basically the exact same on a daily time frame, sort of nearing the upper bounds of this channel. But yeah, if we pull back, and you guys can see just the alignment of this 200 EMA and the 50 moving average still pushing up strongly to the upside. I am expecting Apple at some point here to reach the upper bounds of this channel around 160. Apple looks to be a very strong stock, and one that I am not interested in shorting right now at all. You guys can see no sell signals in place here for months now on a daily time frame. Yeah, just still chopping around inside this kind of momentum channel here, and it looks to me like we're getting ready to break up to the outside. So Apple to me, guys, very strong still. Potentially limited upside. I don't know. I don't know how much this channel, the top of this channel, is going to act as resistance or not. Who knows? A lot of times, you know, a channel will be in place and it looks like it's going to hold prices inside, and then prices just explode to the outside and create some kind of a back test on the top bounds of these channels, and then start working up to the outside of the channel again. So I don't know, but Apple to me, guys, very strong looking chart. Go back to a weekly time period here, and yeah, just kind of coinciding with the strength of the overall markets right now. And on weekly time frame, we're still pushing strong to the upside. So Apple looking very strong to me. Let's go to our next chart, Airbnb. Not enough data here for a weekly. A look at the weekly, nor is there enough data in place here on a daily. So let's just kind of look at this right here on a daily time frame. This is looking okay here to me, guys, right now. I've got this series of higher lows in place and higher highs, so I would tag this trend line here as the place where I was looking for continued acceleration to the upside. You got these touch points, one here on July 19th, and then also here on August 20th, and I would just look for prices to continue working up along this trend line. If you are long Airbnb now, any break to the outside of this channel, I am out of the stock. Okay, very cut and dry to me on Airbnb. Let's go back to the weekly time frame and look at our next chart, which is going to be the chart of ABVC Biopharma, kind of a little biotech company here. Let's see, not enough historical data to look at the weekly. Maybe in for a similar, let's see, okay, we do have some data on a daily time frame here, so let's just see if we can zoom into this. Yeah, I'm not a fan here of the look of this chart right now, guys, even though we got some big volume bars over the last couple trading sessions. I don't like the look very much of the alignment here of the 200 and the 50. You guys can see here the red and the yellow lines. The alignment here looks poor, pushing to the downside, and it almost looks to me like on a daily time frame this momentum could be starting to push back to the downside. Let me look here on a 4-hour and see if I can just confirm that here. Okay, no data here on 4-hour. It's probably going to be the same here on a 2-hour, right? Okay, so no real data here to go by, guys, right now. So we'll just stick with what we have on a daily time frame. And yeah, everything looks bad here to me. I mean, you get these kind of 1 day, 2 day events where price shoots up and then sellers come in and just tank this thing. I'm not liking the looks of this chart right now, guys. So that's my analysis on ABCV. Let's go back to a weekly time frame. Next chart, ACST, Acasti Pharma. This, yeah, just another chart that just looks pretty bad here overall. Momentum playing around in this terrible zone far below zero. The alignment of this 50 and 200 day moving average, really, really bad. And it looks like here potentially the weekly momentum is starting to roll to the downside. A chart and a stock I am not interested in. Okay, let's move on here to the next chart, which is the chart of ADA USD, Cardano US dollar. So weekly time frame, no data, but we can see here on a weekly time frame starting to break out to new all-time highs. That is always a positive. Let's see if there's any daily data here. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, this looks pretty good here, guys. So I do like the alignment here of the 50 and 200. Looks like they're both pushing to the upside here. I do like that quite a bit. On a negative, to me, here it looks like we are starting to set some sort of a potential resistance up in these areas, up around $3. And it looks to me almost like the momentum here is also starting to roll over to the downside. You guys can see kind of this, looks like this rounded top kind of pattern getting ready to play out. Let's go down to the 4 hour and see how that looks. Yeah, you know, kind of getting this series of lower highs in place. So I am expecting this for a little while to continue to carry out. And that's going to have this daily time frame eventually roll over. But short, very, very short term, yes, ADA, even though it does look potentially like it could be getting ready to roll to the downside on a daily time frame, this is definitely a chart that I am interested in watching again once we get this thing to roll to the downside and we find a rounded bottom and somewhere where this thing is going to start pushing back to the upside. The alignment, you know, of the 50 and the 200 on a daily time frame here to me looks very good. So I would expect some consolidation maybe in this area, and who knows, over the next couple months potentially blasting off again and taking off again once again to all-time highs once we get this rounded bottom look on a daily time frame on the momentum. So that's my look into Cardano. Moving on here to AEI. Okay, not enough data here for a look at the weekly. Let's see here. This is a chart I am not in love with. I see on a daily time frame, it appears we've just got this overhead resistance in place here, but potentially breaking that here in these zones. I don't know, hard to say, guys. This 50 period moving average still pushing down to the downside. Let's see if there's any data on a 4 hour that we can look at here. Yeah, there is, but again, this is just not looking that great. It looks maybe like the 4 hour potentially starting to roll over to the downside. And as you guys know, I'm never a big fan of this momentum zone down here well below zero, which is what AEI is operating in right now. So to me, guys, this is a chart I am not a fan of right now, and I am not that interested in now. Been in tank mode ever since its IPO. So AEI is a chart I am passing on right now. Okay? Let's go on to back to our weekly time frame and go to our next chart. AIKI, Hokkaido Pharma, small biotech. And let's see, we got a penny stock here. Really been just in getting cut in 2/3 here, it looks like, since February. Suffered a lot, just like a lot of the penny stocks have over the last 4, 5, 6 months. Let's go here to a daily time frame. And yeah, I'm not liking the looks of anything on this chart right now. It looks like we got this pretty strong overhead resistance, line of resistance in place here. The alignment of the 50 to 200 looking very ugly, and a series of lower highs and lower lows on this momentum. This is definitely a chart I would pass on at some point in the future. It's certainly possible. We start getting a rounded bottom, sort of look like we did here in late 2020, but guys, we are not there yet, and to me it looks like there is still more pain in the short term on this chart of Hokkaido Pharma. Okay? Okay, back to a weekly time frame, moving on to the next chart. AIM, Immunotech. Yeah, this chart here, again, boy, the hey, you guys can just see this has just been a big tank job for many years now, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to come to an end at any time soon. On a weekly time frame here, just bad. Where the weekly momentum is operating, it's just way below zero. You can see this 200 EMA still pushing strongly down to the downside. Daily time frame. Let's see if we can see anything interesting here. Open this chart up here. Yeah, really just an ugly chart here, guys. Very few redeeming qualities. You got this kind of overhead line of resistance here, currently around $2.28, where I would expect it to get rejected. Right? To me, that looks like a strong point of rejection if it were even able to make it up here. The alignment of this 50 and 200 moving average just kind of bleeding down slow to the downside. AIM, Immunotech, definitely a chart I am not interested in right now. Go back to a weekly time frame here and move on to our next chart, which is going to be the chart of AKTS, Acoustics Technologies. Okay, let's see here. Had this nice pop in price between December 2020 and February. That was when we broke this kind of longer term line of overhead resistance. Let me duplicate that trend line here. To me, yeah, this would definitely be something to look at again if we were able to break these zones here between around $11.30 and $11.40. And potentially here on a weekly time frame, it looks maybe like this weekly momentum is trying to get off the mat here, right? Trying. But that doesn't mean it can't fail. Kind of have to watch here on a daily to see how that all works out. It looks okay to me right now, but the alignment of this 50 and 200 on a daily time frame still not very good. I would, if you were interested in going long on this chart, I would do something like set my trend line on a daily time frame right here, and the minute this trend line failed to the downside, I would be out of this chart and moving on to something else. So to me, AKTS, it's kind of one of those ones that's okay. Potentially some more and more upside once we break these zones around 1130, and that would be my look at acoustics technologies right now. Okay guys, let's move on to our next chart here on a weekly time frame. This is going to be the chart of AMC. Everything to me here looks okay right now. Let's see here. Looks almost like this momentum is really trying to make a strong break for the upside again here. I would start getting really more excited about this chart here of AMC in the short term if we were able to break these levels of momentum on a weekly time frame, right? Yeah, kind of like what happened back here, which led to this breakout, as you can see, where AMC started breaking out on a weekly time frame right in these areas down here around the middle of May, right? Started breaking to the upside here. So going back here to our current time, I'd really like to see this starting break to the upside out of these momentum tops. Let's see here on a daily time frame. Okay, so this is kind of really interesting here. Okay, the alignment right here, I'm not a huge fan of this, so it definitely, that line of resistance looks to be something that we need to pay attention to here, guys. Right around 46, 43. If we were to start breaking to the upside in a strong way, we're putting daily candles up above that area, I think that's going to be a significant breakout point for us, okay? Again, that area is right here around, let's see, 46, around 46.50, somewhere in there. But sitting here today looking at this, it looks to me the alignment of this 50 and 200 is okay. It's okay, but you know, this 50 is still pushing down here a little bit, and it looks almost to me like on a daily time frame, you know, this daily momentum almost appears to be starting to roll over to the downside here again. So let's zoom in here to a 4-hour. See if we can see anything here. Yeah, 4-hour. I don't know. I think that yeah, the most immediate kind of momentum trend line of this AMC on a 2-hour is broken to the downside. So I would really like to see on AMC on a, for instance, a 2-hour time frame, I would really like to see this momentum, instead of just bleeding out back down to these zero levels, I would like to see this thing break up here on a 2-hour time frame. And what that would do is it would enable on this the daily time frame, instead of having this thing roll to the downside, what it would do would be to just kind of consolidate here and start pushing back to the upside, and that in conjunction with a price break above these levels at around 46.50 would be a strong indication of new points of entry for AMC. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at right now, guys, on AMC. Basically, very important, I think, line of overhead resistance here around 46.50. So I'm going to be watching that level very closely to see if we can break that line over the next couple of days or weeks. Okay, let's go back to our weekly time frame here and go back to the next chart, AMD. AMD looking really nice, really strong here. I see no issues at all with this chart right now. Weekly time frame pushing up the alignment. You guys can see here of the 200 EMA, 50 EMA still pushing up to the upside. I guess the question is, you know, this thing is kind of really getting far away from its 200 EMA right now. In the short term, do we need a return kind of back to this 50 moving average on a weekly time frame, or is this just going to keep continuing to push to the upside? Well, that's what we need to find out, right? So let's look here at a daily. And okay, this is interesting here on a daily time frame. So guys, on a daily time frame, what it looks to be happening here, let me just clone this. Looks like we're getting some sort of consolidation on a daily time frame, some sort of indecision, and the alignment of this 50 and 200 on a daily time frame does look to me pretty good. But in order to be a buyer right now on AMD, what I would really like to see is a break on a daily candles above this area here, which currently resides around $115 or so, somewhere in there. And I would like that to coincide with the daily momentum breakout above these levels here. So let me just look at the AMD here on our DRSI chart. Yeah, you know, this is looking again okay to me here. I'm on a 1 hour chart here. I'd like to see the continuation of this 1 hour trend line. Looks like we might be in some sort of a triangle here in a short term. And just, you know, on AMD right now, to me, guys, everything looks average Joe. It looks kind of like we're in a holding pattern here. But again, something exciting could be waiting to happen on this chart. But I'd like to see a breakout of AMD on a daily time frame. Have this this daily momentum, which appears to be in the short term shifting back down again within this channel, start breaking out to the upside. So that's really where I'm at right now on AMD. Overall, still looks very good, very strong, very healthy chart. I mean, there's nothing to really complain about here on this chart of AMD, guys. But we have moved a long way and potentially starting to get just a little bit extended on this trend right now. Hard to say, but it just we may be set for a period kind of like here between August 24th and December, August, September, still a period of maybe 4, 5, 6 months, something like that, where we just kind of really just chop around and really bleed up slowly. Let's see, to the tune of around maybe 18 to 20%, maybe something like that over the next 5 months, something like that. I don't know for sure if that's exactly what's in the cards, but that looks possibly to me like what's going to be happening in AMC. Again, very, very strong and great, looks to me to be a great long-term investment. But as far as exciting charts in the short term, I'm not really sure AMD is the place to be unless we get some momentous pullback in the short term, which doesn't appear like it's going to be in the cards for now. So with AMD out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to our next chart, guys. The chart of AMSC, American Superconductor. Okay, what are we looking at here? I can tell you guys right now, this is definitely a chart I'm not going to be interested in. There are no weekly buy signals in place. and the alignment of this 50 and 200, both flat, just moving sideways in a choppy channel. I have absolutely zero interest in this chart of American superconductor right now, and that would change at some point here in the future, guys, if we were able to get a rounded bottom on a weekly time frame, kind of like what happened here in July 2020, and started pushing above the 50 and 200 and had the look of this period of time more than what looks like to be happening now, where we're potentially just going to be chopping sideways in a range for many, many weeks to come. So let's move on here to our next chart, Amazon. Everybody loves Amazon. Let's see what's happening here in the chart of Amazon. Okay, the alignment here of our 50 and 200 appears to be very good. You know, right now, to me, this thing just appears to be in slow grind fashion, a lot like potentially the chart of that we just looked at a second ago, of AMD, maybe in some sort of a channel here between around 32.20 and 39, which is, you know, I mean, it's a wide range on a weekly. I mean, that represents a percentage of around 19%. But again, you know, Amazon right now, guys, definitely not at this point in time any longer a high growth, high volatility stock. Looks to be like in a slow grind mode to me over the coming months. And yeah, so that would be to me buy time near the bottom of this channel and potentially looking for exit points at the top of this channel. And yeah, other than the fact that, you know, Amazon could definitely change my mind here. For instance, this is just an approximation of a channel here, right? So something between this time period of September 18th and April 20th, where we got a clear breakout of these lines of overhead resistance. That's what it would take really for me to start getting really, really interested again in Amazon as a potential really a catapulting to the upside. But for now, this just kind of looks like a yeah, definitely nothing wrong with this chart of Amazon. Obviously one of the strongest stocks in the market, a great long-term investment. But for me right now, very choppy and very slow. As a kind of day trader, this isn't the type of chart I'm interested in. But as an investor, obviously Amazon, very, very strong stock. So that is the weekly chart of Amazon. That is my opinion on that. Kind of this momentum you guys can see here since August 2020 here, just boobity-boobity-boo, choppy, choppy, choppy. So nothing too exciting on Amazon, but continues to just grind higher, grind higher, grind higher, higher, and that's probably what we are going to see for the foreseeable future in Amazon. Okay, let's move to our next chart, chart of ANY, Sphere 3D Corp. Let's see here. I think I added this to my watch list based on the amount of intense volume that was coming into this thing. So on a weekly time frame here, I do like the fact that it's broken over this 50 moving average, but this weekly time frame is definitely not giving us a ton of information. Long term, a huge point of overhead resistance at this 200 EMA, but boy, we are miles off from that, right? So let's, instead of looking at a weekly on this chart, let's kind of look at the daily. See if we see anything interesting here for either momentum. Okay, so guys, here on a momentum, I am liking the look of this right now quite a bit. And it looks like, what, Friday we were down 32%. So that could be a very, very good thing, right? Give us a chance to enter again. But what it looks to me potentially is setting up here, like has been for the past, since May. You got these positive divergent bottoms. 1, 2, 3, 4. Guys, what if we are getting set here for a fifth positive divergent bottom on this chart? So that's what I'm going to be looking for on this chart of A and Y here. You know, why is all this volume coming in? Maybe there's some news, maybe somebody knows something, but I love this. I really, really like this. You guys can see here the alignment of this 50 and 200 moving average. 200 starting to push to the upside, 50 pushing to the upside over the 200. I like this one here, guys. But to me, am I saying pull the trigger here now? No, 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 no. 100% no. What I want to see on this chart, let me erase some of this. You guys can see what I'm seeing here already. I will just erase all of those drawings so we can see it more clearly. What I need to see is for this daily momentum to come to finish rolling over to the downside, putting in some sort of a bottom structure, kind of like we had here in place in August, between August 20th and August 26th, and pushing up again, okay? And that will be exaggerated and more clearly defined here on a 4-hour chart. So we can see that here. What I want to see is for this 4-hour to continue to the downside here, breaking up, holding above these levels of momentum here, setting up another positive divergent bottom and pushing to the upside. Let's look at the DRSI chart here for A and Y. And yeah, I'm basically looking for something similar to this period here, holding somewhere in these zones here with the confluence of alignment of these moving averages, kind of holding above this dynamic trend zone here and consolidating in these zones, pushing higher, very much what happened similar to here. Okay, so to me the chart here of A and Y, very clear. I do like very much the look here of the daily, this series of higher lows and higher highs of momentum here. But again, guys, what can always happen here is something like this, right? And you have to be careful for this because these series of positive divergent bottoms never ever last forever, so they can be fake outs here, kind of like what happened here around March 10th, where you got just kind of this, it didn't complete. You did get this higher low, but it didn't complete this higher high, and this thing just rolled over to the downside and just started this period of bleed off in prices. So I'm going to be watching all this very closely, very carefully. And but for now, what I can say, guys, I would be looking for a break in these levels here, right? A break above this zone here. Let me get my trend tool here out. On a daily time frame, this to me would be really strong if we were able to break 877. Again, watching for this positive divergent bottom on a daily time frame, and watching for a break above these areas here around 877 or $8.80. Okay, let's go back to weekly time frame and move on to our next chart here, guys. The chart of APPS, Digital Turbine. This right now, it looks to me like this one kind of interesting here, but I'm not in love with it. You've got kind of this strong overhead line of resistance. There has been no no re-entry slash buy signal in place on a weekly time frame, but it looks to me, guys, like at some point in time here, and that time period to me is not right now, is not yet, but to me, just the alignment of this weekly still very strong, and what eventually is going to happen here, I don't know if it's going to happen next week, 2 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now, sometime in 2022. We'll just have to watch, but at some point here, this is going to create a massive positive divergence on a weekly time frame, and this thing is just going to explode again to the upside, okay? So that is kind of my long and short take here on the chart of APPS. Am I a buyer here right now? No, I'm not, because we're still pushing down on a weekly time frame, and on a weekly and daily time frame, we've got this strong line of overhead resistance in place. Let's just adjust this line here a little bit, and you can see the alignment of the 50 and the 200 not that great here. The 50 pushing down still, while the 200 is pushing sideways. So if I had to take a guess here, I would guess that what's going to happen, it's going to kind of have a meek and feeble move to the upside here remaining, and we're going to get some sort of push back to the downside off these levels here around 67 or so, maybe a few points up more, and then it's going to sell off again. Yeah, to me that kind of looks like what's going to happen. We've got this negative divergence here on a daily time frame, negative divergence on the weekly chart as well. Still no buy signal in place. So at some point here, guys, yes, the chart of APPS is going to be a fantastic long opportunity, but to me that point is not yet here. Let's move on to the next chart, AQMS, the chart of aqua metals. And what are we looking at here? Let's see. Anything stand out to me here? These big wicks in place on a weekly time frame since February 22nd. To me, AQMS, this kind of penny stock thing is really out of favor right now, guys, as you probably well know. Broad stock markets, it's kind of more about the big tech and about the stronger players, the big cap stocks in the markets right now. The alignment of this 200 EMA on a weekly time frame looks like slowly bleeding out. This is a chart I'm just not that interested in right now, guys. Chart of aqua metals. I'm going to pass on this right now. Let's go to the chart of ATER. Chart of Ethereum. Packaged software. We are back below IPO levels, and it looks like that is also acting as some sort of resistance. Guys, until we break above these levels here at around 1082, even though there's massive volume coming in, I'm not that interested. Let's see here on a daily time frame. Yeah, this big volume coming in here, but the alignment, quite frankly, of this 50 and 200 sucks right now, pushing down to the downside. And again, in order to get interested in this chart, I do want to see a break above these levels at around 1071. Okay, let's go back to weekly time frame. In the chart here of ATOS, ATOS Therapeutics, right away, we're back in kind of penny stock territory, which is really out of favor. Broad markets. We've got this momentum, which is just in a poorly operating zone, well below zero. This is a stock that's had tremendous technical damage done to it over the years, operating well below its IPO price at around $100. It's pretty much a chart that's really hard to get excited about. We do have massive volume coming in, so it's possible. It's quite possible, guys, that you know, ATOS, the chart here, we're starting to work on some sort of a long-term bottom in place here. And looking at this back to 2019, kind of this bottom here is held really nicely, right? So it's certainly possible that right here around 80 cents or so represents some monumental long-term value if we were to return to those levels. And it also looks to me here like massive overhead resistance at around $7.41. So pretty clear to me. We're stuck in this sideways channel with a percentage. Yeah, if we get a return back to these levels around 80 cents, that looks like a great entry point, even back to the top of these channel area around $7.50. And you know, there's potentially, even if you're interested in a very short-term swing trade, a potential of returns back up to these levels. Let's see, look here. I'm not in love with the alignment right now here, guys. Take a look at this 50 and chopping sideways on the 200 EMA, but this 50 moving average is coming straight down right now. Let's look at the momentum here. See if it can give us any clues. Yeah, this zone we're operating in right now, just not great. But again, you know, there's always the chance for this to start doing something like this, kind of like it did back here between May and June of this year. And again, if that were to happen, very likely we start heading up to the upper bounds again of this channel around 742. But I would definitely, at least in the shortest term, like to see a break of prices. You guys can see how we wicked off here around the 2nd of September, right around 431. And it looks like this 50 moving average is starting to act as some sort of a resistance, pushing prices to the downside. So this is one that I would definitely be cautious in. But if prices were to ever return back to this 80-cent area, starting to get very, very interested again in ATOS. Okay, let's go back to our weekly chart here and go to AUTL, ATOS Therapeutics. Again, I think this was a watch list stock primarily due to the volume that was coming in. Looks like maybe we're trying to set up some sort of a bottom here. Not a whole lot of data here to see on a weekly time frame. Let's look up the daily here. And yeah, nothing to get too excited about here, guys, honestly. The alignment of the 200 and the 50, not that great. This is a chart I'm just going to pass on for now. Hard to get too excited about this chart, so I'm passing on AUTL for now, guys. And let's go to AVXL, the chart of AVXL Life Sciences Corp. Now, This to me here, definitely a chart that's more interesting than some of the last few we've been looking at. I like the alignment of this momentum, right? If we were able to get a move, sort of a rounded bottom here on a weekly time frame and push back to the upside, that would lead to an explosion of prices in the chart of AVXL back to the upside, which would be, in my opinion, well above this 31 level, this all-time high. I like the alignment here on a weekly time frame of the 50 and 200 EMA. That to me looks very positive. A lot of nice looking things on this chart right now, guys. Let's go into a daily time frame. Yeah, this looks pretty good here. Just in the short-term time frame, I would say that this 50 moving average appears to be pushing to the downside again, and I would really like to see prices break back above that level before entering the stock. Looks to me here like a very long, strong line of overhead resistance at around $21. So if we were able to come here and break above that $21 level, that to me would be my entry point. And yeah, I'm foreseeing some pretty good things happening in the future for this stock of AVXL. Looks to me like maybe some sort of a channel here, momentum wise, starting to set up here in these levels. But when we start pushing to the upside outside of the bounds of this channel, you know, momentum still operating in a very positive zone, well above zero. I think that would be the point in time where this rounded bottom on a weekly time frame were to form, and prices on AVXL again would start pushing much higher to the upside. So this is a chart I do like the look of, guys. And I've got, you know, this as thank you so much if you made it to the end here. I think I'm gonna have to call that. I'm already an hour in, and this is taking really a lot longer than I expected at first. I'm going to continue on with this series. Definitely going to be a part 2, but I'm only managed to get through the A. As I told you guys, I had a lot of stocks on my watch list. I can definitely continue on, especially if I see that there's interest in this sort of thing, and interest in this kind of broad thing where I go through all my stocks in my watch list and looking at the big picture of them. Yeah, but I'm going to call it here at the A's and start again on the next update, part 2 on BABA. That will be for next time. Again, thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. If you did enjoy it, if you want to see part 2, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like. Appreciate you guys. Again, hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see everybody again soon in part 2 of this series, continuing the watch list, going through my watch list of stocks. Thank you so much. I will see everybody again soon. Bye for now.